Direct Connection is made by MPT to serve all of our diverse communities and is made possible by the generous support of our members. Thank you. Live from Maryland Public Television, this is Direct Connection with Jeff Salkin.
Hi, everybody, and thanks for tuning in for Direct Connection. Coming up tonight, why you may have the wrong idea about the symptoms of the #1 killer of American women. That's ahead. First tonight, the growing pool of red ink in Annapolis. Our guest is the Comptroller of Maryland, Peter Franchot. Sir, thank you for being here.
Jeff, it's great to be with you.
Thank you for being here in spite of your cold.
Yes, I have the sniffles, and I apologize, but a lot of people are under the weather a little bit, but it's nice to be here.
Well, you saw some budget numbers this morning that could bring tears to some people's eyes. The Board of Revenue Estimates, of which you are a member, met today. What was the result?
Actually, I chair that wonderful meeting, and the treasurer's on it and the budget secretary. And we have a very collegial approach towards predicting what the revenues are. Those figures are important, the ones we put out today, because those are the figures the legislature uses to amend the budget we're in right now, and then to fund next year's budget that starts July 1st. And the news continues to be weak, I would say, as far as the economy. We wrote the revenues down that were already very conservative by another $275 million. 275 million. You add that to the $405 million that we cut in September, and you just see a steady drip, drip, drip of information. What's the point there? The point is the economy's not doing well.
So what the number means is that the tax revenues that the state is expecting are going to be less than had been previously projected.
Correct. And that puts pressure on the incoming governor and also the new legislature. But it's nothing like the pressure that those numbers indicate are being felt by Maryland families and by Maryland small businesses. The data is just, it's alarming to me as the comptroller. Our private sector wage growth is a third of what the national growth rate is. That's so unusual for Maryland. Usually we're way ahead. Our unemployment is a fraction, our employment is a fraction of what the national employment is. And we just don't seem to be producing the jobs and the wage growth that we are accustomed to in our great state. I'm optimistic down the road because we have strong economic bones. But boy, the information we put out today, it's just, it's hard to be, it's not very encouraging, put it that way.
A cynic might wonder why the information you put out today wasn't widely known before Election Day just 6 weeks ago.
Well, in September, we put out, as I mentioned, we did write-downs totally and even more, $405 million. That was a big blow, I guess, to some people during the elections. But this is all on the regular order. We normally come out with the revenue estimates mid-December for the legislature to use as their benchmark. And the key thing that I keep emphasizing to people is that the budget of Maryland is important. I understand that. It's a big priority. The news media pays a lot of attention to it. That's not the big issue right now in Maryland. It's the Maryland economy that is out there that is revealed by these low tax revenues to be in trouble. That's what really is causing hardship.
It's interesting what happened because in the depths of the Great Recession, the national unemployment rate got as high as 10%, I think. Maryland's never got higher than about 8%. But fast forward, and the national rate has come down further than the Maryland rate. I think Maryland is a couple of ticks worse than the national average unemployment at this point. Why? What's causing that?
Well, it is a combination of things. Number one, the federal government that we're very dependent on is through sequestration and other things has cut their spending.
And the federal spending helped in the depths of the recession.
Correct. That was a boost that took a while for them to make adjustments. More importantly, I think Maryland has a loose fiscal reputation. We are very, very progressive, very liberal as far as funding almost anything that has a nice sounding name to it. And we've gotten into a lot of trouble by spending that is, I don't mean to use the word, I don't want to be too accusatory of the legislature, but there just isn't enough oversight of the spending or of the debt that we're entering into. And even though we're the wealthiest state in the country on census data per capita income, we are going from deficit to deficit as far as the state budget. What happens there, Jeff, is that in order to fill the deficit in a well-intentioned way, the legislatures say, let's increase fees and taxes and borrow more money. And that gets in the way of the Maryland economy, because when you take money out of people's pockets through tax increases, for example, you have to be careful, because if you go over the tipping point and people start to feel as if they don't have discretionary income, they stop spending. And then the whole $300 billion gross domestic product in Maryland begins to stagnate. And that's where it is right now. It is just not growing.
Let me remind our viewers, if you have a question for the comptroller about Maryland's economy, Maryland's budget, or tax season, which we'll get to, give us a call. We'll have the number on the screen. You could also tweet a question. Our Twitter address is @MPT News. So the people of Maryland have elected a Republican governor, Larry Hogan, who is running on a fiscally conservative platform. What do you expect, having been around Annapolis for a while, what do you expect over the next few years in terms of the interaction between a still Democratic, solidly Democratic legislature and Republican governor?
Well, I'm a Democrat, but I'm lucky to be the state's comptroller, and I got a big vote, as well as Governor-elect Hogan. I have a lot of respect for him. He ran a very disciplined race. It's a very hard mountain to climb when you're a Republican to win a statewide race, especially the State House, which is the key position in Maryland. I've indicated to him that my office is completely available to him as far as the transition, and on the Board of Public Works, if he has any proposals about how to get the economy moving forward again, as far as jobs and wage growth, I have a completely open mind. And I hope that the legislature has the same response, but that tends to be a little bit more partisan just because of the nature of those two institutions. I'm a little better positioned to actually roll up my sleeves and get the job done with him if he wants to actually manage the state's finances in a positive way so that we can afford the things that we all care about.
The incoming governor would have two ways to cut the budget. One is dealing with the legislature. Right. The other is through the Board of Public Works, where you mentioned you're the comptroller. It's you and the soon-to-be governor and the treasurer. You have the swing vote, a crucial vote there. Would you be open to making cuts through that body as opposed to doing it through the legislature?
Well, I did that frequently with Governor O'Malley. In fact, July 1st of this year, we cut the budget by $81 million. And that's a huge, positive thing for the state of Maryland, because the Board of Public Works, without calling the legislature back when they're not in session, we can make reductions like that in public spending to make sure we're not getting deeper and deeper into a hole. And I suggested today at the Board of Revenue Estimates that Governor O'Malley consider on January 7th, when the legislature is not in session, before they come in, it's his last Board of Public Works meeting, that some additional cuts be made. Why is this good for the state? Because if you nip this in the bud, some of these deficits, it will prevent them from growing into even bigger problems. So, yes, I'm open to thoughtful suggestions that, once again, are designed to get the state back to the middle and the center on fiscal issues.
Let's take a phone call. Anne Arundel County, this is Mario. Mario, thank you for the call. Go ahead.
Hello, this is Mario.
You're on.
I would like to know where the money is going from all the casinos that are now legal in the state. And where is that money going?
Good question. Thank you very much. So not only did taxes go up, but we have this new stream of revenue from big casinos in Baltimore, Anne Arundel County. Why do we still have a deficit?
Mario, that is such a great question. I don't know what your profession is, but that was about the smartest question I've been asked in the last year, because I have the same question you have, which is, where did all the money go that came in from gambling? Hundreds of millions of dollars have come into the state treasury. It was supposed to go to education. That, of course, we know is somewhat of a shell game, because the money goes into a education trust fund and gets subtracted from other education funding. So it doesn't really help education necessarily, but it is hundreds of millions of dollars of revenue. Where did it all go? I hate to say as comptroller that I don't know, but it disappeared into spending that, as I said, is well-intentioned but quite loose. And that's what needs to be corrected.
How do you feel, to bring up one very small part of the state budget, the subsidy that goes to the film industry? It's brought in these national productions, HBO productions. Legislative analysts just wrote a report saying we're not getting our money's worth. How do you see that?
I haven't read the report. I'm not in the legislature. I probably shouldn't be dabbling in that issue, but it certainly strikes me that we have historically had a film industry in Maryland. You have to have films being made in the state in order to keep that film industry alive and healthy. And so I haven't read the report, but I dealt with this in the legislature. 50% of something is better than 0% of nothing. And if you look at this particular sector, there's got to be some intelligent way to incentivize them to come in and do films in the state of Maryland.
Let's grab another call.
Good. I don't know where that one came from, but I'm supposed to not comment on specific things like that, but you asked, so go ahead.
Cornelia in Harford County, thank you for the call. Go ahead.
I'd like to know why senior citizens have not had reductions in their taxes, and they've been forced to move out of state in order to get tax breaks.
You mean in terms of pension income?
In terms of pension income. They can't afford to live here anymore, and as a result, they're moving.
Cornelia,
places to Delaware, we offer nothing.
Thank you so much for the call.
Cornelia, is it Cornelia?
Yes.
Yeah, that was a great question too, because
that's our audience here.
This is a huge problem for the state. That not just seniors are stressed by the state's economic structure right now, but a lot of wealthy people who have a lot more mobility than some of the folks you may have mentioned, Cornelia, are thinking of relocating because they can move to states that have a much lower tax structure. The legislature, to give them absolutely big pat on the back, they fixed this problem of the estate tax, where Maryland was decoupled or disconnected from the federal estate tax provisions, and it made Maryland very unattractive for people that had resources to retire here. We've stopped that. We've fixed that problem. We probably need to look at the situation, how we deal with particularly our retired individuals, because those folks are so crucial to the health of our state. It's not just the fact that they have economic activity. It's not just that they have connections to our state. It's that they have a philanthropic role to play in our state because A, they're great people, and B, they have income, but they certainly need some form of encouragement from the state of Maryland to stay here.
I'm running short on time. I said we'd get to the idea of tax filing season coming up. Just a couple of weeks left in this calendar year. What should Marylanders know about doing their taxes, their 2014 taxes, which we're all going to be doing before we know it?
Well, first of all, we're very generous people, and I mentioned we're very wealthy according to census data. We're the wealthiest state in the country. So a lot of people make charitable contributions. Make sure those are recorded and done before December 31st, obviously, so that you can get the credit on your taxes. There are other changes that probably are best left to one's accountant because they pretty much get down in the weeds. It's and the final thing is to make sure that your accountant or you file electronically, because if you're owed a refund, we're averaging 2.1 business days upon receipt of your tax return to getting the money back into your bank account. We're talking $2 billion that starts going out January 20th. So make sure you file electronically. Make sure if you have any kind of complexity to your return that you get a good accountant to help you.
2.1 business days. I'll hold you to that.
2.1 business days. If you file electronically, let us put it electronically in your bank account. And we're talking huge amounts of money to millions of Marylanders. No other state can compete with that as far as customer service.
Comptroller of Maryland, Peter Franchot, thank you for stopping by.
Yeah, Jeff, thanks to see you.
Good
Thanks
luck
for
with the
having me.
cold.
Yep.
And happy holidays.
Oh, yeah, happy holidays.
Just ahead tonight, why symptoms of heart disease can be tough to diagnose in women. We'll be right back.
Tonight on MPT.
Antiques Roadshow's 18th season has more cities with more treasures, and now even more junk in the trunk.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe that.
My goodness gracious.
Wow. Yeah, I didn't think that.
Tune in to the second hour of Antiques Roadshow Junk in the Trunk 4 right here on this PBS station.
Tonight at 8 on MPT.
Celebrate the holiday season with the 2014 National Christmas Tree Lighting with hosts Tom Hanks and Rita Wilson, featuring performances by Patti LaBelle, Steve Miller, Neo, The Tenors, Fifth Harmony, Nico and Vince, and more. Presented by the National Park Service and the National Park Foundation.
Tuesday night at 8 on MPT.
Antiques Roadshow continues the hunt for America's treasures, this time from Denver, Colorado.
This is a wow piece.
This is the nicest example of this guitar I have seen.
Wow, that's incredible.
I'm floored. It's more than I anticipated. Much, much more.
Don't miss our discoveries in Denver next time on Antiques Roadshow.
Tonight at 9 on MPT.
Joining us in the studio for this week's Your Health segment is Dr. Myung Park, Associate Professor of Medicine at the University of Maryland School of Medicine and Director of the Pulmonary Vascular Disease Program and Director of the Cardiology Inpatient Service at the University of Maryland Medical Center. Doctor, thank you for being with us.
Oh, thank you for having me.
We're anxious to focus in on this idea that heart attacks in women can present, as your doctors say, differently than they do in men. What's the difference?
Well, as you know, the classic sign for heart attack is chest pain. If you talk to people, it's not so much pain, rather it can be pressure. The classic example is somebody describing that they feel something is sitting on their chest. An elephant is sitting on my chest. And this can be associated with shortness of breath, breaking out in the cold sweat. So this is more the usual symptoms of heart attack that we know of. In women, this can present, however, in more subtle ways, in different ways. And in the most extreme ways, without any associated symptoms that we usually associate with heart attacks, such as having prolonged fatigue can be one of them. It can present as pain, but in a different variety. It can be a little bit of jaw pain, neck pain, shoulder pain. It can be a little bit of chest pain, but not the ones that people usually associate. And people sometimes think, I just have a little bit of musculoskeletal problem. This is really nothing to be concerned about. It can also come as an indigestion. So there's many different, more subtle forms that a heart attack can present in a woman.
These are indeed vague symptoms, and around this time of year, around the holidays, I'm thinking about, well, you might have an upset stomach, you might have eaten too much of something, you might have a little joint pain from lifting packages or hanging ornaments or any of these things that how somebody's supposed to know.
Well, I think one of the key things is listen to your body and see how you feel. I mean, if somebody was having a heart attack, along with indigestion, you can have shortness of breath, you could have lightheadedness, and just generally not feeling well. And if it's something that you think is concerning to you, It probably is, and then you should really talk to your physician about it.
At what point do you call 911 or get to an emergency department?
That's a great question. Studies have been done looking at the pattern which people utilize the emergency services, and women are generally tend to use it less. And
I would have thought, sorry to interrupt, but
yes.
I would have thought it would have been men. This is nothing, this will pass, it was something I ate, I'm not going in there, and risking the embarrassment of somebody saying it's just indigestion.
Well, no, actually it's exactly the opposite. I think overall in a society, the way we are raised perhaps and cultural way, women tend to put everybody else first. They tend to take care of their family, their loved ones, and when it comes to them, they tend to be the last on the list. So even when they do have genuine symptoms, as long as it kind of goes away, they don't really pay attention. But the key thing is, heart attack is a heart attack, no matter how it comes about. It's created by a blockage in a major heart artery. It stops the blood flow to a major portion of the heart muscle, and time is muscle, and this is what we say in cardiovascular field all the time. And getting attention in a very timely way is the key, not only in getting proper treatment, but preventing further heart damage.
Do doctors in the family practice, the internal medicine specialist, the emergency room doctor, are they sensitive, you think, to these distinctions between men and women?
I think the difference in how women even present or report symptoms, how women may perceive the symptoms have definitely been heightened. There have been a lot of organizations and a lot of studies to highlight the fact that, yes, there is a true difference, and we really need to focus on making a public statement saying that cardiovascular disease is #1 killer in the U.S., period, and by far none. And it creates a death of something like 400,000 women every year, and that's one death every minute. I mean, it's a staggering number. And really the message that we're trying to get across is, if you're aware of what your risk is, if you know what your risk is, you could do a lot to prevent this. I mean, there's certain things you cannot modify. Your age, we all get older, your gender, your ethnic background. I mean, these things you cannot change, but there's so many things you can change. We know that smoking, for instance, is probably the most preventable form of reducing the cardiovascular risk. And we also now know that smoking affects women far greater. You put men and women, they can smoke the same amount, but a woman will be as much as 25% more affected than men.
No kidding.
Yes.
We also wanted to talk about some other heart conditions that affect women, one of them being pulmonary hypertension.
Yes.
So we know hypertension is high blood pressure.
That's high blood pressure that your doctors would measure in your arm. Pulmonary hypertension is, some people call it the other high blood pressure. This is blood pressure that is elevated in a specific set of arteries that connect your heart to your lung.
Does it correlate with this?
No, it doesn't.
Wow.
It's a totally different circuit, period. So these arteries, your body is designed so that the pressure is kept low. And it has to be kept low for the blood to flow from the right side of your heart to the lungs and get the oxygen. Now, when the pressure in these arteries go up, what happens is the right side of the heart becomes affected. It can become dilated, become weak, and the symptoms people feel are usually shortness of breath. They recognize that, I used to be able to go up by flight of stairs without problem. Now I have to stop 2-3 times. I can no longer carry a basket of laundry, up to the second floor. These sort of insidious development of symptoms over time is the usual presentation. Some people actually can also have chest pain with this and dizziness, and its most severe form, passing out.
We have to leave it there. Dr. Myung Park is Associate Professor of Medicine at the University of Maryland School of Medicine. Doctor, thank you for being with us.
Oh, it's been my pleasure. Thank you.
We appreciate it. Thursday at this time on Your Money and Business, doggy daycare, and how a couple of entrepreneurs are hoping to improve your knowledge of the news. Join us Thursday at 7:30. Now, for all of us here at MPT, I'm Jeff Salkin. Thanks for watching and have a good night.
This program was made by MPT to serve all of our diverse communities.